Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Elizabeth Elenor, and this is paused, recorded. I'm recording this the day before because um, one of the beauties of living in abundance and having your own business is that you have the ability to do things that other people that work 9 to 5 don't actually get to do. And right now, while you're watching this, if you're watching it live, I am helping my niece get ready for school because my brother is having an operation and his wife has just got a new job and can't stop working. So I get the opportunity to go and hang out with my niece and do all the school stuff, which I haven't done for a long time. And it's so good that I get the opportunity to do it and then leave instead of going back to what it was like way back when I was doing it with the kids. So today we're talking about stillness, right? The wisdom of stillness. And there's a little bit of a backstory to June and what's going on for us in Awakening Magical Women in June, because my business mentor, who is an absolute genius when it comes to sales and marketing, she is the founder of Wonder World Marketing, and she does unicorns and all this crazy stuff, right? She's the founder of Catalyst Marketing, like the content that crushes. There's a whole heap of things that she actually put together when she came into the industry only 5 years ago. Coaching industry, and realized that what people were doing was pain point poking and getting people to feel their pain so that you could buy from, they could buy from you, right? And I agree with her. That was narcissistic, techniques. And so she actually came together with a thing called Catalyst Marketing. Well, she made 1 million in her first year. She's a bit of a go-getter. It's 5 years in, and she's well over 5,000 clients and $5 million. She's got a huge audience, 130,000 audience in her in all of her platforms. But the reason I'm bringing her up is because I am interviewing her tomorrow. We started just for June. We've started a session called Season of the Wise, and it was actually inspired by Nicole because 5 years ago she started writing her book, which is all about it's a fiction, right? It's called A Shadow Called Sunshine. Great title, right? And it's a fiction, and it's all about domestic violence and moving into self-sovereignty, which is exactly what happened for her and a lot of people, right? But it's based on some of her life story and life history. And so one of the things that we're doing is tomorrow I will be interviewing her, the honor of interviewing her when her book is being launched, right? So it's really early in the morning. It's 6 a.m. because she's over in the US. If you can join us, that would be awesome to support her, because one of the things that she's doing is creating a movement called So That What. Now, you may have seen me putting the hashtag So That What, because and this is where her genius comes in, right? I think about the movement Me Too, and that movement is all about, yes, I also was a victim of abuse in some form or another. One of the things that Nicole talks about is not being a victim, but actually going through those experiences so that you come out of the other side and find your purpose, so that your children don't have to go through that, so that you can step out of people pleasing and self-sabotage and all of those things. And so it's a really big cause and a really big movement. And I really hope that you would love to jump on board with it and be part of that, to move us all into a fierce life rather than, identifying with our victimhood. So getting on to pause today, one of the things about pause is this month, it's all about wisdom. And I want to talk about the silence, because silence is where all of your inspiration, your innovative ideas, this is where, when you can step into the silence, that is where you have the ability to listen and hear your higher self, your future self that is guiding you, that's on a timeline where you got all the success that you are desiring. And on some timeline, your higher self is already got access to that, because all of the codes are in the field, in the quantum field, and your future self that has those successes is guiding you. But it has to be in the silence, because when we're in the chaos of life, we can't hear that whisper. And this is one of the most imperative, important, crucial points that I want to make, is that we have so much noise in our mind, in society, in the air we're breathing, right? Every place we look, there is my Zoom is playing up, so hopefully this is coming through. Everywhere we look, as soon as we wake up, our mind is in the chatter of life already. And then often we jump in and we take on that information that is bombarding and influencing us from our external world. So silence, the wisdom of silence, is where all of the magic actually happens. And so it's important to take that time, especially, first thing in the morning. I make sure I'm not on any gadgets. I also have that chatter in my mind that's thinking about what my day is going to look like, thinking about things from yesterday, thinking about, challenges or problems or whatever it might be. And I purposely can disconnect from it and move into meditation, into the stillness. I do a particular meditation practice, and then I start creating my life. I actually start visualizing and recognizing what it is that I do want to create. I call it choices. And through that process, I make the choice of what my day is going to look like today, what my week's going to look like, what my year's going to look like, what are the things that I'm manifesting into my life. Because when you're in the stillness, you have those visions that you can actually implement and imprint. You can put the codes into your consciousness and then start manipulating it, right, into manifesting those things. Because our conscious doesn't know the difference between a reality and a vision. So we're being influenced anyway. We're being influenced by social media. We're being influenced by TV, by Netflix, by whatever it is that you're inputting from, a screen. We're being influenced by whatever podcasts we're watching. We're being influenced by other people, by our parents, by our siblings, by our friends, by society, by our culture. Everything that's going on out there is influencing the decisions you make day to day, moment to moment, instead of deeply listening. And we're giving power to those things, right? When we can stay in the stillness and actually quieten the mind and sit in the void of creation, we can hear that whisper of the unseen, the future self that's on this timeline over here, not this timeline, right? The timeline of all of your desires, the beautiful relationships that you want, or the success you want, the abundance, the health, all of those things there's a timeline where you are experiencing those things. And so your future self can imprint that information into you right now. It can be the bridge. And you can listen. I do this on a regular basis. I listen to the future aspect of myself that's here in the now moment, right? If we're in the quantum field, I'm pointing over here, right? Because this is time and space and we can pretend that it's in the future. But actually, when we step into like beyond the duality of life, the third dimension, and step into the fifth dimension, that future self is actually here. And she can share with you the steps that you took today in this moment that got you and led you to the success that you want to create. And this is building on listening to your intuition, right? Your higher self, your wisdom. All of those things are different language for the same experience. But it all happens in the void. It all happens in that stillness. This is where the wisdom is, because all of the chatter is only from our past and influenced by those that are around us, that are influenced by who we are, so our vibration now. Wouldn't you rather be influenced by the vibration of your higher self, of your future self that has already got all the results that you want? Wouldn't you rather be influenced by that person than the ones that are dictating to you based on their own opinions, based on their own beliefs, based on their own memories of their past that they've been influenced by, their culture, their society? Wouldn't you rather be influenced internally instead of giving your power away to people that may be influencing you based on what's going to work for them? I want you to sit with that for a moment. And it's an interesting concept because we are so externalized. We are conditioned to be externalized because as soon as that I say it all the time, right? I'm going to say it again. As soon as that umbilical cord is cut, all of a sudden now we are separate. We are separate. We've got to breathe air in for our lungs, air that's external to us. We need warmth external to us. We need food external to us. We need love and nurturing external to us. So no wonder we're challenged with listening internally, because everything from the moment we were born is an external representation of our world. And slowly we start being influenced external to us, and we're conditioned to listen to those loud, noisy voices instead of listening to the whisper of the unknown and the unseen. Those parts of us have got our highest potential encoded into them. Those parts of us have got our highest benefit for us because it is us. It is my higher self, my future self is the one that I want to listen to, because that's the part that's connected to my soul, connected to more than this life, knows that I'm here for way bigger, way more. And so that's the voice that I want to listen to. I'd love for you to throw in the comments, what voice do you want to listen to? And if you're watching the replay, which you will be because I'm recording, I would love for you to say hi. I'm going to come in after I take Ariana to school. and I'll come in and I will watch and comment. So if you're watching afterwards, please put hashtag replay. But I would love for you to share what's come up for you. What resonates when you think about the influence that you've had external to yourself, and what the difference is between that and listening to yourself. Do you remember a time when you actually listened to the internal voice and what happened for you, right? Because there's two internal voices. There's the internal voice as the wisdom that lives in the stillness. And then there's the internal voice that's been conditioned and sounds loud and noisy and gets most of the credit, right? 70-80% of the time, that's what we listen to, because it's based in the past, it's based on previous events, and it kept us alive and safe and all the things, right? So let's not discredit it. But if we want to move into a bigger version, a bigger, higher version, of a more profound, more fierce, more love, enjoyment, all of those things, then it's a new voice that we need to listen to, right? The one that's the whisper. And so as it just came to me, Einstein says, if you want to change, how does he put it? I can't remember how it goes now, but if you want to change, then doing the same thing over and over again will get the same results, right? I'm sure everyone's seen it somewhere. But it's true. If we are stuck in the same patterns of behavior as we've done before, and think that we're going to get different results, then we're delusional, right? And this is where it's really important to understand, because our stillness, that wisdom that's in the stillness, has been given a bad rap, because that is the feminine. That's the higher feminine. That's the functional feminine. I know myself, I have grown up in a family where work is something that is honored and cherished, and so work your hardest, do all the things, be work so hard that you never stop and you never think of anything else, right? My mum owned her own business, and that's one of the things she did, right? What I have noticed, and I may have shared on here at a different time, in fact, I did. About a month ago, I think it was, I found another aspect that needed to be recoded in my life, where my nervous system, my emotional regulation, was imprinted and blueprinted not blueprinted, but imprinted with the codes of chaos, because my life had been always chaos. In fact, you know, when you think about it, and I'm sure I've shared this before, I was the only girl, the last child, after two boys that were pretty intense. My eldest brother, had eczema when, I don't know if he was born with eczema. I don't know if you can be born with eczema, but he had eczema from the top of his head all the way down to the little toes. And it was so bad that it seeped, like it was horrific, apparently, because I never saw it. And then, two boys that would have been classified ADHD these days. And back then it was hyperactivity. I turn up after a stillborn. My mum was grieving, and they didn't, there was no counselling like there is these days. It was go and have another baby. So I'm it. But she was in a psych ward when she was pregnant with me, going through this grieving on medication. She tried to commit suicide when she was there. Yeah, it was crazy. So I've come in before I was even born with all of that trauma and chaos in while I was in the womb. And then I come into chaos, because can you imagine what it would have been like for my mum to see a girl who cried, was alive, So she's got these mixed feelings of elation and love and happiness for me while she's still grieving a baby that didn't make it. And so that would have been a chaotic experience. Well, then, 3 years old, my dad got sick. And you think this is in 1971, so that would have been 74. Back then, there was no, the tests that we've got these days that we take for granted. Can you imagine how many tests of like, why is he sick? What's going on? And they found that they couldn't find his kidneys. So one had disappeared completely, and the other one was the size of a pea. And so he was put on a kidney machine while I was around about when I was 3 years old. Formative years for the neural pathways of the unconscious to be developing with no filter, no way of discerning whether this is right or wrong. And so my nervous system, and I'm just one story, I'm sure you've got a story that you're relating to as you're listening to me. One of the things is my nervous system regulated to chaos. So chaos, I've got to tell you, if anything ever goes wrong in the world and everything goes to chaos, you want to hang out with me because I am really good in chaos. I'm calm. I deploy things easily. I'm supportive. I can deal with 500 things at the same time because my nervous system has regulated to it. So come along, 3 years of meeting the love of my life, and everything starts going into this beautiful pattern of calm, steady, loyal, love, support, connection. And my nervous system didn't know how to deal with that. I've had chaos all my life, and then Tim comes along, and what happens? I don't know how to cope with it. So my nervous system has been creating chaos. I've just coded into calm, into connection, got to put my charger into support. So I've coded, I've done my own course, right? I've coded myself um, into that frequency of steadiness. And to do that, I had to experience myself in the stillness. I had to find that information in the wisdom that comes when you're in the unknown, when you're holding the space of the void in the feminine, because the feminine will give you that wisdom. And my unconscious, or my higher self, my future self, has given me these little tiny moments where I've been doing this and that and fix this up and do that and blah, blah, blah. And I've been following the directions the whole way through. And then this comes in and it's like, oh my gosh, this is the foundation of all of it. And since then, the things that are happening, my whole world is changing because this part of my life is going to be a small part. I've realized I'm going to start working with Tim in his business because his dream is very big, and I've got an instrumental part of that puzzle, right? I won't go into all the details, but my creations and Tim's creations are coming together so fast, so fast. And this is just to share. When you're in alignment, when you can come into that space of listening to your future self in that stillness, the things that align are, this is where the magic is, right? This is where the intuition, being connected to your intuition is just a necessity. So 2 examples, since we've come to this, just of Tim, so that I can share with you how he is flowing. We went on Friday up. We both stopped, didn't work on Friday. We both went up to Sydney and had lunch with 2 other recoders. Both of them are very dear friends of mine that I catch up with once a month. And one of them lives in Perth. And so she had flown over, was staying with some friends, and we all caught up and had lunch on Friday. Well, Tim needed a particular resin or whatever it was. It was a big big bag of white powder, to tell you the truth. It looked crazy, but it was a big, like it was a product that he needs for whatever his work is. And lo and behold, where my friend lived in Manly, only about 5-10 minutes away was the warehouse where that was, and they were open and they had the product, and he didn't have to wait a week to go and get it. So he was able to get it. He said, "Oh, that's amazing how easy that was." And then on the weekend, so he's working up in Sydney for 3 weeks. On the weekend, he had to go and get a thing that he had made last week, and he was going to deliver it to the guy before he left to go to Sydney, a piece of a boat, whatever it was. And we went and did a few things. He knew it was in the back of the car. We were going to go, it was going to be maybe half an hour or an hour away. And we finished at one of the shops, and he had this thought. He said, "I might give the guy a call right now." Well, lo and behold, the guy was 5 minutes away from where we were, and we were able to go and give him the product. So collapsing time, right? These are the things that time collapse is all about, because both of those things would have been taken a lot more time if he hadn't listened to his intuition and done the steps that his higher self had told him to do. So this is what we're going to be covering in Child of the New Moon, which is on the 22nd of June. We're going to be talking step by step about how to break down what it means to be in your consciousness, in your intuition, and the difference between listening to your wisdom and that whisper than that very loud, chaotic voice. And we do some particular practices. I put it on last year. I had about 20 women go through, and on the weekend I was listening to some of the stuff and going back over it, and it's just an amazing course, step by step, easy to follow, really deep detail, but easy at the same time, on remarkable ways of looking at what your intuition is, because we've all got it, but we second guess it, we don't listen, we don't take action, and then we get stuck in those loops, right? Those Mad Hatter loops. So stillness is imperative. This is where your wisdom is. Your higher self got you to watch this for a reason. It's time. Where we're at in time and space, we're in the age of Aquarius. We've just started. Peace, love among beings, guys. Rainbows and unicorns. We're moving out of control and manipulation, and into self-authority. And so if you need a little bit of a tweak with that, if you need some support, instead of giving your power away to your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and the external world, and it's time for you to listen internally, then drop in wisdom into the comments, and we'll come back around and send you the link for our Child of the New Moon. So that's me. Love to see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. I know it's early. It's going to be worth it. Nicole is an amazing, amazing woman with a big idea, a big purpose, and a big destiny. It would be absolutely beautiful for us to all support her mission, so that more and more women can start stepping into their power and letting go of the control that that so many have, feel like they can't get out of. So take care, take a moment, pause, be in the stillness, and I will catch you tomorrow morning.